Hello, and welcome back to RightOrWrong.com and AlanWright.tv. I hope that you've taken the time to watch my introduction to True Lies and my first two videos on the government true lie and the religious true lie. This is the third in that series of true lies. There are four of them. The first was religion, the religious true lie, the government true lie. This is the corporate true lie, to be followed by the media true lie. These are kind of the four pillars of American society in the world today. And I want to show you that these four pillars are fragile and failed. The religious true lie make us altruistic, dedicated to service, and irrational. The government true lie is about power, about control. It's not to help you. Government's not here to help you. When I used to work in government, one of my favorite things when I'd give a speech to a few hundred people or so, I would begin it with, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help you." I got that from Ronald Reagan. And of course it was amusing because most people intuitively know that the government is out there to help them. There's been an epic struggle for many years between government and the corporate power structure. Government lost. Governments are now the tools of the corporate elite. I use this mathematical and geometrical power structure here to show the 7.5 billion person society that we live in around the world. How we've divided this little globe that we float around on into. This modern slavery, where this 90% are relegated to extreme poverty and extreme danger in the working poor. These are doing pretty well, this 10%, but of course the power is here. These are the lackeys mostly of the corporate structure. And the middle class kind of like we pick up, we glean the results of this pass-through that comes up as these corporate elites steal from these other nations through a very elaborate debt structure. And there are some wonderful books about it. And by the way, what I'm telling you is all proven. It's a proven fact. I'll be happy to share that proof with you here. I've been doing the research and learning about this for the last 40 years, and I know it's true. One of the good books about it is called Power, Inc. It's about the epic rivalry between big business and government and the reckoning that lies ahead by David Rothkopf. Well, it's true. It's true. There is a reckoning coming soon. I mentioned in my government true lie segment that there was a coup d'etat when John F. Kennedy was assassinated by the CIA and the hidden government, the invisible power structure in this country. I also talked about back in the 40s when Smedley Butler, a distinguished Marine general, was approached to do that same thing with Roosevelt, and he refused to do it, thanks to him. However, in 1963, in November of 63, there was no reluctance. The collusion was well documented that this was a CIA overthrow of our government. Now, not totally complete. The corporations have now pretty much closed the circle, if you will, of power and control. They now control the military. They control our government at all levels. And in doing so, they've created a central banking system around the world that is so incredibly in debt through basically you and I. It's the taxpayers of the countries that are in debt. The corporate power structure is not in debt. They're just continuing to move this and isolate the wealth of the world up here to where now well over 90% is controlled or owned, or both, by this very small, less than 1% of 1%, the power structure in the world. Now you hear that there are people that have ownership, if you will, proxies in the stock market and own bonds and things like that. But what you don't know is that of all the important stocks and bonds that are used to control the economy, are owned only almost solely by these people. Yeah, you have some retirement 401ks and things like that where people own some bonds and corporations, but not enough to have any investment in the power structure. And those people that own those are almost entirely these people right here. So it's really these people that control the world, and they do it through the corporation. Now, you take people like the idiot Donald Trump in our government, who obviously is a billionaire not concerned about the poor people in the world, and that's easily provable. But he's totally a tool of these people. Do you really think he's interested in these people? It's just a joke. It's a terrible joke on you, the American public, and these people around the world. It's a terrible joke. And then they tell you, I mean, roughly 40 years after Smedley Butler and roughly 20 years after the coup d'etat where they killed John F. Kennedy, you get a Class B actor like Ronald Reagan who totally fools the world because he's a good-looking guy and he's a good cowboy values sort of guy, and you fall for that trickle-down nonsense, that voodoo economics. And you saw the savings and loan debacle, and you saw all these other indicators of how these mafia, the bankster ilk, have totally taken over the world. And you try to ignore it, you try not to believe it, because you've got a little bit of freedom left, but they're taking it from you. Corporations don't even exist, they're legal fictions. Corporations is a power structure designed by lawyers to protect the elite. That's the way they're designed. It's to protect them from other lawyers. These are the warriors of the corporate elite, the elite that are controlling the world, lawyers today. It's not the military people. They're there as a protection racket to make you pay the taxes and support the structure that's robbing you blind. It's destroying our world. These corporate elite, they're not people. These are insects. These are the animals that support these few that are stealing blind from these mostly black and brown people around the world and moving the money here. This is the Christian white, mostly. This is the white supremacists. This is the blue bloods that are reaping most of the benefits that are allowed to seep down from this few, less than 1%. It's a sad system. It's cancerous. Corporate cancer is destroying the world and creating this modern slavery. It can be defeated, but you can't rely on the media. The modern media supports all these. It's a propaganda media. All the way from the textbooks that kids get to the fairy tales told to little kids, they're all true lies. They're lies that you believe as truth so that you support this craziness. It's got to stop or this is going to go away. They're destroying our world. And you're allowing it. What can I do about it? Your pathetic little whining, what can I do about it? Well, I'm here to tell you what you can do about it. You can ignore me if you wish. Most people choose to ignore this. Some people here say, there, but for the grace of God go I. There's always somebody in worse trouble than you. Yeah, that's the way you can live your life. Or you can cast aside these true lies, get down to some serious business of living and standing for something. Getting a backbone. Taking advantage of being born in some of these more wealthy countries, Japan and the countries of Europe and the United States, and stop this craziness, this vacuum, sucking money, sucking resources, sucking everything that people are using to build this corporate structure up this way. It needs to stop, and it can stop. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to go on this way. We can protect this wonderful, beautiful place. Human animals. We can be stewards of this, and I want to help you do it. They're playing us for suckers, folks. Our military are the cannon fodder that these guys are using to take and steal and divide and conquer. It's been stopped. The American Empire, it's time to get it right. We can be a proud people if we choose to, but right now it's fake. It's fake. It's not prideful to go to a place like Afghanistan and Iraq and steal everything they've got and put in these rich corporations to run the show. To build what little infrastructure they have, like the famous power plant in the Philippines that's never put forth any electricity in its history, but it's put billions in the coffers of decadent people that then give a big portion of it back to corporations like Westinghouse. All these corporations have been ripping us off in a major way, and it's time to stop it. The whole drug thing, the whole war on terror, it's all nonsense. It's fake. It's fake because it drives money in a certain direction to certain people. They created the fear, they created the situation, and then created the solution, and all of it makes money for them. And we're the cannon fodder. The opioid epidemic was created by the pharmacy people, by the warriors, our generals who have handed over our country to the corporate elite. Well, I'm going to keep this video short. My timer's about ready to go off. It's been about 12 minutes. And I'm so sad about this corporate takeover of the world, this collusion between corporations and government, this fascism, the Fourth Reich, if you will. Jim Marrs had it right. We are living in the Fourth Reich. Hitler was not defeated. He was put off. We in the United States are continuing a form of the Fourth Reich, but this one's in collusion with the Jewish population instead of trying to do those awful things that he, of course, did. But when they destroyed, for the most part, that Jewish population, they were changing the economic strata, not just the genetic strata, but Hitler's goal as a tool of the corporations was to change the structure of the world into this banking, this financial superstratus, as much as it was to a part of white Aryan superiority issues. And they're continuing in the world today. They're not quite as dramatic, they're using more sophisticated technologies of human control, more psychologically successful through true lies. And the next video that I'm going to show you is about how they use the media, from textbooks and fairy tales and all the way through television, your cell phones, even the internet, how it's all used to create a propaganda to get you to be the cannon fodder, the support structure, driving wealth up here to the elite few and destroying this wonderful planet. I hope you'll visit me again for my True Lie video on the media, which follows this one. In the meantime, I hope you'll have a great day, and I also hope you'll visit me at The Right Conspiracy for my honest, ethical, nonviolent, legal approach to stopping and changing this and returning this world back to the human and non-human animals and plants which inhabit it, and have a reverence for life, not for fake, phony, superstitious, fabricated things like God and Allah and all the rest of the nonsense, the stupidity. If you want to resurrect something, resurrect freedom, resurrect pride. Don't let those idiots like Joel Osteen and Donald Trump and the Pope convince you otherwise. They've all become corporate. They're all protected by the corporate veil. I've studied corporate law for many years. Don't believe any of it. They only exist for them. This is modern slavery. Let's stop it. Thank you.